up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Inside the Vinyl. I'm your host, Tim Coney. If you would go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel below, that would be greatly appreciated. If you could also hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out new content, that would be appreciated also. So this time, I'm going to go back to my Lost Classic series, and we're going to do the first of a trilogy. And what I want to focus on now are what is commonly referred to as the Blackout Albums from Alice Cooper. And these were the collection of albums that he released in the early 80s, from 1981, 82, and 83 to be exact. And at this point, he had fallen back into some substance abuse issues, had started smoking freebase, using cocaine, as well as back to drinking alcohol and all that. And according to what I read on Wikipedia, he says he remembers recording, or he knows he recorded and he toured these albums, but he doesn't remember making any of them. So, that's interesting. And as someone that has struggled with that myself in the past, I can totally understand where he's coming from. So, this is part one of a three-part series. The first one we're going to focus on would be the first of the Blackout albums. This would be 1981's Special Forces. So let's go ahead and put that right there. All right, so just for a little bit of context, this album was released on September 1st of 1981. It was released on the Warner Brothers label, which he had been on pretty much his entire career, even from the early band days. It was produced by Richard Polidor, who would also work with Three Dog Night a lot in the 70s. It only got as high as number 125 on the Billboard charts and has never been certified gold or platinum. So here we go. So Alice Cooper, Special Forces, front cover, back cover. Yeah, let's go ahead and, there's nothing interesting about the sleeve inside. It's just like your like plastic, I guess Warner Brothers. Yeah, there's Warner Brothers logos all over it. And really nothing too special about the record itself. Just your standard Warner Brothers label in the middle with the track listing and all that. So nothing too special about the album itself or the packaging or whatever. But I just wanted to talk about, these albums a little bit. So again, this is, like I said, this is the first of the Blackout albums. And I thought it was very interesting. A guy named Dwayne Hitchings, who was in a band called Cactus, I think, in the early 70s. My mom actually met this gentleman when she lived in Nashville. He plays it's funny, he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, but if you look at the amount of albums this dude is on, he's on a crazy amount of albums for everything from Cactus all the way stuff through the 70s and into the 80s. He does all the keyboards on this record, so I thought that was interesting. The most notable thing about this album is probably the cover he did, which was like a live cover of Generation Landslide. It's called Generation Landslide 81. And you can see there's different videos and different things like that online and on YouTube. And probably the other most well-known song is the first track, which is Who Do You Think We Are? Which I think was one of the tracks included on the Life and Crimes box set that came out sometime later. So again, first of the Blackout albums, and you can see if you even go back and look up like YouTube in like 1981 and look up Alice Cooper videos, you can see he's starting to look really, really frail. Even at this point, and we're talking 2 more years of this stuff before, he actually got himself straight. But pretty cool record. In my opinion, definitely kind of stays on course. The previous album was called Flush the Fashion, and it was very Cars-ish, very like new wave sounding. This one kind of follows suit with that. You can see he's kind of, blending some rock, some more of his traditional, early 70s rock roots in it, but still kind of has a bit of that new wave flair to it. And again, he did tour this one. I don't think he actually toured the other 2 albums, but he did tour this one, but according to him, doesn't remember anything about it. And unfortunately for Alice, it didn't sell that well. New decade, new era, new music coming out. And I think like a lot of the 70s rock, our 70s rock gods or whatever, the early 80s were a very confusing time for them as far as, what to do and how to fit in. But good record. He doesn't remember making it, but I think it's a good record, and it's the first of the 3 Blackout albums. So we'll talk a little more about the other 2, one of which I think is, the more interesting of the 3. But that's all I've got for you on this episode. So that's part 1. Part 2 and 3 will be coming soon. What do I usually say here? That's all I've got for you this time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out new content. I've got the rest of my Lost Classic series where we talk about albums like this that, did not sell well and maybe got swept under the rug and aren't remembered as much as, other stuff from, the artist catalog. So check those out. I've got a live album series where we talk about live albums and different things. I've got an unboxing series where I unbox new releases, reissues, new albums, box sets, whatever. Sometimes they're even CDs instead of vinyl. It just depends on what's coming out. And I'm getting ready to start a new series because, why not have like 3 or 4 different things, to confuse people like a total marketing nightmare. Whatever. But I am going to start doing a series on greatest hits albums and compilations and different things because I know sometimes those can be great and other times they can be really frustrating. So look for that soon. I've got some live footage from concerts and festivals over the last several years, and I've even got a couple of short documentary films I did for school. One is about a local disc golfer friend of mine, and the other is about the fire that took our house away. And hopefully we will be back there sometime, maybe later this year. So anyway, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.